My name is Amir Montazery. I'm the managing director of OSTIF.org. That's the Open Source Technology Improvement Fund. We're a small nonprofit based in Chicago that has just celebrated our 10-year anniversary. And I'm excited to talk with you all today about achieving positive outcomes across ecosystems, talking about the security audit work that we've been doing in collaboration with many organizations and open source projects. Today, I will be speaking a little bit more in the lens of our collaborations with CNCF, the Cloud Native Computing Foundation, and all the great work that we've been doing together with them. So open source is a very collaborative space, as you all know, and we cannot do it in isolation and without the help of other people, organizations, advocates, and all the people that support the mission of open source, and in particular open source security, which is the sole focus of what we do at OSTIF in working directly with maintainers, project contributors, to help fill those security gaps by engaging experts, namely experts in the open source security space, to work directly with projects to help give them that security uplift. As was mentioned in the last talk, lots of open source software is not always primarily developed with security in mind, and projects aren't necessarily always kind of thinking security first or thinking in terms of security. So this work that we've been doing has really done a fantastic job in kind of filling those gaps in security of open source projects and providing them with the uplift to be more resilient, more secure, and address issues in software. So yeah, as I mentioned, today I'll be talking specifically about the collaboration we've been doing with the Cloud Native Computing Foundation. This goes back to our 2021 now, so yeah, we're going on over 4 years of direct collaboration with CNCF, and it's been extremely successful, the program that we've done, and it really is a nice alignment because CNCF has been investing heavily in stewardship and in helping projects, providing them with resources, helping them grow. And we are one of the many pieces in that puzzle. And yeah, it's just been a fantastic collaboration. So as I mentioned, it goes back a few years now. These are just a couple of the blog posts that we've put out talking about the collaborations. We've been very committed to transparency as well, much in line with how CNCF operates, by publishing all of our work and the audit results, as well as publishing impact reports on the collaboration. So we put one out last year for 2024. I would highly recommend giving it a read, and we'll be putting one out for 2025, likely early next year. And really the thesis or the core of why we do what we do and why it's so effective comes from the research from a fantastic paper titled 0 Days, Thousands of Nights that did really thorough research on namely zero-day vulnerabilities and vulnerabilities in software. And one of the big takeaways from that research, which I've listed here on the screen, is that finding vulnerabilities often requires more in-depth auditing, logic review, and source code analysis in order to go several layers deep. And that is why our audit work is so effective as well, because there are definitely a lot of great tools and resources for doing a lot of the surface level kind of analysis and work for projects. Static analysis tools like the ones referred in the previous talk are excellent for this reason. But as the research shows and as our experience shows with the audits, that to really find those deep-rooted problems and namely to find classes of bugs, which finding and fixing those very much does improve the posture of a project's long tail development, really does require that in-depth auditing. And that's why we've been so dedicated and focused to working with the right experts, the people who have the capability, who have the shovel, so to speak, using this mining reference here, but also to scope things accordingly so that they're able to go deep and have the time and resources to look for those deep-seated issues in the software projects. And this has been especially evident in projects that receive their first security audit or have never been audited before. We typically find the first audit resulting in a number of medium, high, or critical severity findings that are fixed as a result of this audit work, and have also found that some projects who have received multiple audits over the years and or very regularly receive audits don't typically have those same higher critical severity vulnerabilities found in them because they have already been reviewed so many times before. So this thesis very much, and this research very much informs our method and justifies it in a lot of ways, because we know that scientifically this has been researched, this problem of vulnerabilities and issues in software, and there is a very real methodical way to solve that problem, and that's what we're doing. So as I mentioned, we've been collaborating with the CNCF, and part of the support that CNCF provides projects is the maturity model that helps projects grow both their project's code as well as the community behind it, and provides services to projects to help them mature. And we've collaborated on a large number of CNCF projects now and are very thrilled and honored to at least somewhat contribute to their journey, and with these projects in particular that have graduated since we have worked on the audits of those projects. So big shout out to those projects that have graduated, and all the other projects that are pursuing graduation and are following the project maturity model. So some really high-level highlights from the audit program that we've been doing with CNCF over the last few years now. Lots and lots of findings and fixes. One reason that our audit process, we focus a lot on fixes as well, not just finding issues, which sometimes, when that is the only incentive, can lead to kind of mismatches in how finding issues translates to actually helping projects be more secure. But our focus is very much find and fix, not just find a bunch of things that could be issues. It's find things that are actually issues and fix them as part of the audit. Going on 37 individual audit engagements. We've started doing some re-audits of projects, which is really great and providing us a lot of insight into the efficacy of the audit work that we're doing, because we are finding a lot of patterns in projects that have been audited a second, third time versus their first ever security audit. And very nice of Chris Anichik of CNCF here to provide a quote for us. I won't read it all word for word, but overall it's very positive that these collaborations we're doing are helping the projects. This proactive security work is making an impact, and we're finding it to be very successful. Going back to the topic of fixes, this is something we strive for in all of our audits, which is not only a remediation period in which we have our auditors work with the projects on improvements and fixes, but we also like to retest and validate those fixes and document them, which this was taken from the Volcano audit, and I think is a good illustration of why this work is so important. Because not only were these high, moderate, low, and informational severity findings found as part of this audit work, but they were all fixed, showing that dedication to security and improvement. A really important part of our process as well is learning, iterating, and improving what we do. And we survey all of the CNCF projects that we audit and work with to get that firsthand insight directly from the most important stakeholder in the audit process, which is the maintainers and contributors. Out of the folks that we surveyed, 100% of the respondents recommended a security audit to other projects, which is very promising in that we at least are not leaving a negative perception or are doing anything that does anything other than truly what we set out to do, which is helping the project improve and be more secure. Some of the other feedback includes that the audit built internal and external confidence in the project's security posture, which is very much a goal of the security audit, identified the most important focus areas of the project from a security perspective. This actually goes into our method as well, because typically the audit involves a threat modeling at the beginning to both help guide the audit and determine risk areas and threat actors and help guide auditors, but also it serves as a nice informational resource for projects to help them understand their project and be able to help with, for example, triaging issues when they can be kind of analyzed against the threat model. And this last bit of insight that I really liked, which had to do with feedback in that the audit not only resulted in findings being fixed, as well as fuzz testing, which something I forgot to mention earlier as well. A big part of our audit process and method is not only the core audit work of reviewing code, but also improving testing infrastructure, which provides long-tail benefits to projects over time as they grow and change. Having testing infrastructure like static analysis, fuzz testing, CI/CD improvements, all provide that infrastructure to projects as they grow and change over time. But yes, so the feedback was that in addition to those benefits, the audit helped adopters recognize the work that had been put into security, which we think is fantastic, because that is also very much an intention of the audit, which is to produce an artifact like the audit reports that we've put out to really show and demonstrate that the project went through this process and is taking security very seriously and being proactive about it, and is able to showcase that, because lots of times it's very hard to showcase something like that, but an audit report that typically are very technical and detail-oriented, open for scrutiny, are published and shared with the greater community. On the topic of community, excuse me, this year we started a really cool initiative around building our community, which namely had to do with creating and providing a space for collaborators and interested parties in the open source security space to have a platform to talk about either the work that they do or novel research or audit results or really anything related to security in open source. And we have found this to be really nice because there isn't always a really good, let's say, platform or conference for every single security talk. Sometimes folks like to practice their talks in a way before giving it in person. And we just thought this platform would be a really fine way to share both our work, amplify the work being done in the community. A lot of our meetups so far have been on collaborations that we actually were not involved in. So it's just really great to have that platform to be able to share the work being done. We just put out, we just hosted a meetup last week on OSTIF's 10-year anniversary and just reflecting on that journey and sharing lessons learned and insight from our journey over the last 10 years. That one is likely, I believe, going live this week, and we have another one planned for this Wednesday. Really cool meetup with Adam Shostak talking about threat modeling and publishing threat models. So I included this here in my talk as well because, again, without the community, without collaborators, none of this work is possible. So if anyone here is interested in learning more or even signing up for a meetup, we make that process as easy as possible for folks to pick a time that works well for them and promote the talk and meetup and then host it online as we do. And then we publish or we post the meetup online on YouTube for folks to watch on their own time. And one really cool kind of thing we do with these meetups is we have the presentation section, which is recorded and put on YouTube, but we typically have a Q&A section at the end that is not recorded, which allows us to have more kind of in-depth conversations and provide a little bit of incentive to the folks that show up for the meetups when they happen. So yeah, this has been a great effort, and I encourage all the CNCF projects that we've worked with, if they would ever be interested in talking about their experience with the security audit or other topics in security, this could be a great platform for that. So with that, just want to thank everyone here. Thanks so much for coming, especially right before lunch. It's great to have folks join. Also to just recognize that we're celebrating our 10-year anniversary this year, seems like a lot of folks are having 10-year anniversaries this year. Big congratulations to both OSTIF and CNCF as well, celebrating their 10-year anniversary. We've been doing this for some time, have found lots of security vulnerabilities, fixed just about as many, have coordinated a lot of hours of expert audit review for projects, and it's really just a thrill and an honor to be able to share those results and talk about them with you all, and just to be in a space where we can share the results of our work and the impact that we collectively make on the ecosystem.